Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Midlands African Chamber's Power Hour Business Development Virtual Live Stream, proudly presented by Wells Fargo. My name is Fidel Mienso, COO at the Midlands African Chamber, and I'll be your host for today's session. Tonight's discussion is titled Building a Profitable Business Model, and it's all about helping small businesses understand how to manage their economics, specifically their revenues, margins, volumes, and operating leverage to create sustainable growth. Our featured speaker today is Kiley Phelps, a highly respected business strategist and educator, known for helping entrepreneurs unlock their business potential by mastering their financial levers. Kiley brings deep expertise in business modeling and strategic planning for small enterprises. Kiley Phelps serves as the SBDC Center Director for the Omaha region at the Nebraska Business Development Center. Her counties of service include Douglas, Sarpy, and Washington. Kiley is an Omaha native and committed to fostering economic growth through entrepreneurship in her community. In her current role, she leads a team of graduate assistants and works closely with business owners to navigate critical aspects of the business development process, including business planning, financial strategies, and operational improvements. Phelps also oversees outreach initiatives, delivers training programs, and cultivates relationships with key stakeholders to strengthen the regional business ecosystem. Her professional background spans a variety of areas, including data analysis and corporate purchasing. Before becoming the Omaha Center Director, Kiley was working as a graduate assistant business consultant for NBDC. A passionate advocate for continuous learning and improvement, Kiley has earned her bachelor's and master's degrees in business from UNO and recently completed the Economic Development Finance Professional Certification course. Kiley is passionate about helping business owners succeed and playing a key role in growing Omaha's thriving entrepreneurial community. Kiley, we're so honored to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Fidel, for having me. I am so excited to be here. I enjoy all of the work that I do with Midlands African Chamber, so I am just looking forward to this next hour that we get to spend together.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and turn it right over to Kiley. And Kiley, you have 40 minutes for your presentation.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. Good evening. So today we're going to be talking about building a profitable business model and what that all entails. We're going to kind of play around with 4 different variables, if you will, that all come together to help your business become profitable and then sustainable. So going to our agenda, here's a quick sneak peek of all the different things that we're going to talk about today. You can kind of follow along as you wish and kind of do some pre-planning or some planning for yourself as we get to the various pieces and think about how this impacts your business or your idea. So we'll do a little introduction. I will introduce the 4 variables of business that I'm talking about, which are the revenues, volumes, margins, your operating leverage. We'll do some Q&A and then we'll end with the conclusion. So first, I kind of want to start off almost every presentation talking about what is the Nebraska Business Development Center. And we are a platform of support to help entrepreneurship in all different ways. So we can help with anything from connecting to resources to small business development, where I am with the business planning, financial projections, kind of understanding the strategy of how you want to operate. And then we have consultants that can help with innovation products and assistance with government contracting as well. So most of our services, almost all, are provided at no cost to the business owners. So we are always happy to sit down and have an individual meeting with you and kind of figure out maybe more about how these different variables are going to impact your business and your profitability. Okay, so with that, the goal of this presentation is to understand how a small business can generate, measure, and manage some different financial variables within this economic model of a business. Additionally, you will be able to evaluate how your pricing, volume, and margins are going to interact to create a business that is going to have a lot of longevity and be able to set up for some growth potential as well. So there's lots of good things to come in the next 40 or so minutes here. Okay, so what is this economic model that I've kind of mentioned a few times? This is a way for businesses to manage the money within the business. So you have revenue coming in, you have expenses going out. What are we going to do with that? What's the strategy behind how all these different elements are going to interact? And if a business does not understand the relationship with all of these 4 different components, they might experience challenges with their profitability. So one example, I'll just give you a little sneak peek here, but we'll certainly talk about it a little bit more when we get to the margin portion. If a business owner is not even covering their variable costs with their pricing, then that's going to impact their profitability because they're not covering their variable costs, and then they also aren't covering their fixed costs either. So businesses are going to create value for the customers, but also the economic model is looking at how to create value for the owners in terms of profitability, returns, being able to reinvest into the business and expand. And the economic model helps understand if your business is truly profitable. So kind of, again, going back to those variable costs, it's helpful to know where the cost of doing business lies with those variable costs. And then if you are generating a return from there. Okay, so kind of going into the economic model a little bit more in depth here. So we start off with revenue drivers, margins, volumes, and operating leverage. And I think all 4 of those pieces kind of come together really nicely to form one big picture. I added 2 extra things into our economic model. I added risk and I also added profit. So profit is the end goal for all the businesses. And then risk, I just added as another consideration. It's not necessarily financial. There are certainly a lot of financial risks involved in a business, but I just brought that up because as we kind of get into some of these specific examples, there are ways that you can go about lowering your risk level, and we'll talk about what all that means. So all of those pieces come together and fit nicely and help businesses become sustainable long-term. Okay, so why does this matter? So understanding these 4 kind of different variables and how they interact with each other is going to, again, help with that risk mitigation because you can understand where your expenses are at, what your revenue drivers are, what the seasonality is like of the business. So it can help lower the potential of things to go wrong. And I always think understanding your numbers is going to be helpful because it can help give strategic decisions. So kind of thinking about like the revenue drivers, and we'll talk more specifically about those in just a minute. If I am only selling one product, if I'm selling just flip-flops, that might be great in the summertime, but in the wintertime, when people are needing more snowshoes and not as many flip-flops, that might be risky. So understanding kind of some of those different implications in the data along with it is going to help give a path forward, because maybe in my flip-flop example, I could think about ways to kind of offset my seasonal demand by maybe adding another type of shoe or having special sales or something during the winter. And as I've kind of alluded to, that understanding how those 4 kind of elements interact with each other is going to help be an indicator of profitability. So it helps understand the costs of doing business and then in relation to the sales that it's helping to generate. And I think this question is very important. Is the business going to be making money, or are we just moving money? So money comes in and then we have to pay all of our expenses, and then we don't really track if there is anything left. So not monitoring your expenses can be challenging, because if there are certain challenges that are happening, like increased costs, for example, I think that's a common one right now, then you might not know with enough time in advance to be able to make a strategic management decision to adjust for that. Okay, so then we're going to go through each of the 4 different variables in a little bit more detail. So we start off with revenue drivers, and this one is probably going to be the most straightforward. And basically, this is what you are in business to do. It's the source of your sales dollars generated from your business activities. So if you are selling a product, if you are selling a service, there are so many different ways that a business can have revenue drivers. So you can have narrow versus broad offerings. And narrow means that you sell a few, maybe a handful of items or different options, and you're really good at that. Like you are the expert at those few items. You could have a broad offering where I'll give the example of Walmart. Walmart sells basically anything and everything. Both are okay if you have a narrow focus versus broad offering. The important thing here is to kind of understand who your target audience is, because if I am Walmart offering anything and everything, I am going to be targeting probably a different customer than if I am targeting like a bakery, for example. People just want cupcakes specifically at the bakery. So it's a different audience than like what Walmart's having. So if you have one revenue driver versus many, there's going to be some risk implications for that. So if I am offering a whole lot of different things, well, that's risky because I kind of have to be good at doing everything. But if I am just selling one thing, there might be some seasonal demand with that. Okay,